Bringing euphoria to the stadium with his fierce winning shot, the egoist Isagi Yoichi has secured bluelock this revolutionary win that will end up rewriting the future of Japanese football. Solidifying his ego with this huge win alongside the bluelock 11, Isagi has now gone on to dominate even further in what other than the Neo Egoist League. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down and walking you guys through all of Isagi's development in the Neo Egoist League as we pick apart what each specific match provided for him. As we all know already, the first match from the NEL that we'll be taking a look at is none other than Bastard München versus FC Barcha. But just one thing before that, I also think that it's important for us to take a look at Isagi's mentality and capabilities as he was going into the Neo Egoist League. As we've already talked about, Isagi's victory against Japan's U20 team and Itoshi Sai definitely made a positive impact on his character as a whole. The first words that really imply this actually come from Itoshi Sai himself, telling his younger brother that he was wrong. He'd previously stated that Japan was not able to birth any decent strikers, however he now believes that this person who was able to call Ren's awakening forth that match, Isagi Yoichi, is the egoist who might actually have what it takes to change football and Japan itself. Now these words weren't actually heard by Isagi, however I included this moment firstly just because it certifies our GOAT here. Now the second one is because these words just deepen the rivalry between Isagi and Itoshi Ren, so let me know your thoughts down below on how Ren will get back in the PHG match. Anyways, with Isagi then being told that he was requested for an interview on TV, the moment occurs where his ego is completely awakened. With the reporter asking Isagi for his plans and goals for the future, he actually takes a second and a breath here, with the crowd all around him screaming his name. Going on to state that bluelock would win the U20 World Cup, he has a second to rethink about his next words. No, that's not quite right. I will personally lead Japan to victory in the U20 World Cup. With that statement, Isagi Yoichi's ego has then reached its all-time peak, with him then being prepared for anything that the future would hold. The Neo Egoist League. With Ego once again calling all of the bluelockers to regroup after their short post-game break, these strikers would once again be tested in even deadlier environments. The absolute peak of the world, Europe's big 5 leagues. Germany, Italy, England, France, and Spain. Those are the 5 options that the Neo Bluelock group were offered, which brings forth even more change within Isagi's mentality. With Bachira and him having a conversation about where they will go, Bachira states that he'll obviously go to Spain, as it's the country of dribbling. Laughing and saying that he would expect nothing less from him, Bachira actually goes on to preach an important lesson to Isagi that he still implements up to this day. Wanting to be the absolute best strikers in the world, it really shouldn't matter to either of them where they end up, as only one task awaits them in the end. Be the absolute best, no matter the environment. With it all being a matter of purely his instincts, Isagi shouldn't be all worried about making the right choice, but rather making the path he chooses the right one. With that David Goggins type advice from Bachira, we all know that Isagi ultimately decides to choose the environment of Germany, where NEL Noah and Bastard München would await him. Now throughout all the regular selections training that Isagi would endure, the main mental change that we witnessed from him occurred due to this environment's change of philosophy. Rather than Ego Jinpachi's ways, Isagi Yoichi would be left up to the discretion of NEL Noah and his hard data-based philosophy. In his very first training session with Bastard München, Isagi would be immediately thrown headfirst into a brick wall as well, because of Kaiser's interference with his final task. Right off the start, this plunged our main man here into some rough-ass waters due to him being 21st, dead last on the team. Regardless, Isagi would give his very best throughout all the 10 remaining days of their pre-game training. But one more very important change still occurred. Flashback to chapter 158, where we first see Isagi, Corona, and Yukimiya all taking a look at Kunigami's stats. They then go on to take a look at their own after, which even though understanding the logic behind it, Isagi Yoichi seems to be frustrated at his lower rating number. Then just standing up, walking to the door, and walking out, Corona obviously goes to ask this man what he's doing. I'm going to see the master. Alright, well, I guess that's how it works. Sort of like a Karen, my man Isagi here is going to see the manager to sort through this whole situation, which I just find to be hilarious. The talk that then occurred between the two, however, was nothing but life-changing for Isagi's mental state and his attitude. The world-class way that NEL Noah instilled into him was one of self-confidence and logic, with Isagi just initially asking for some advice to increase his rankings. Noah would then go on to lead him down a spiraling rabbit hole of questions, all about Isagi's questioned improvement. He even leads him into the question of, if Isagi Yoichi was at his ideal state, could he even defeat NEL Noah? Rational thinking and training combined with self-confidence. This attitude and way of thinking would leave a glimmer in Isagi's eyes, as he would then go on to lead his everyday life thinking the exact same way. With that then leading us into the new Egoist League's first matchup, Bastard München would then go on to face off against FC Barcha, in one of the best possible introduction matches we could have asked for. From the first chapter of this game, however, we actually end up learning that none of the bluelocks from the Germany stratum ended up becoming regulars. Well, other than the dark horse kunigami. This does indeed leave Isagi temporarily on the bench, but even his time spent there would not be wasted. Inspired and moved by Noah's previous words to him, Isagi would instead spend his time analyzing and watching as to evolve while not even playing. Friend or foe, I need to burn all of their plays into my mind and search out any single weakness that I can find. Moving on to the first half of the match, the 2 goals that occur while Isagi rides the bench actually prove the direct impact of watching from an outside perspective. Starting with not only Bachira's presence as a regular, but also his opening super goal. Everything that Isagi watched from his showing inspired him. From Bachira's previous words during their selection to his purposeful showing as his team's ace, Isagi knows that he needs to reach that level and fight alongside him. His time would come soon, but not before one more very important play that would end up setting this blossoming striker down a path of unbelievable evolution. Scoring the equalizing goal of the game with his immense presence, Kaiser inadvertently showed Isagi his true ideal peak. With Noah going on to lecture him about what Kaiser Impact is, Isagi ended up with not only a player to match his skill to, but also a better understanding on the importance of weapons. Now coming up to his substitution in the game, Isagi would then end up being sent in as a replacement for Kunigami, alongside both Noah and Barcha's master Lavinho. Confidently walking out onto the field, he really knew that an impact needed to be made, and that's exactly what our man did. Now his first engagement in this match did end up going badly, but luckily he was able to recover from this and make it into a learning experience. Intervening within a world-class duel between Noah and Lavinho, all Isagi managed to do here was actually get in the way, which allowed Lavinho to use him as an obstacle to leave Noah behind. This then unfortunately did lead to Lavinho scoring a masterclass goal, but as Noah tells him here, it's not all his fault. With Lavinho being a world-class player from Brazil with a defined style and creativity in dribbling, Isagi Yoichi was simply just unaware of his game, and therefore lacked the needed information. Now Kaiser's point of view is actually that the masters and other players are simply just on another level, so that gap simply prevents Isagi from creating impact there. Isagi himself, however, just won't settle for that line of thinking, as his first bit of in-game mental growth would be here, declaring that he'll go on to devour these masters. Now he may not have done all that this match, but he does go on to solidify himself with some value here. With the match continuing on with both Noah and Lavinho scoring a goal, the star change system then ended up running out, leaving the game tied at match point 2-2. As the game then continues on, Bastard München shows off even more of their irrational, unteam-like gameplay, as nobody other than Kaiser will be receiving any attention from the core players. No matter though, in one of his first showings in the NEL, Isagi actually goes on to intercept the pass from his own teammate. Then leading into a fake shot to weave out Bachira, Isagi actually ends up helping out Kunigami Rensuke with the final goal, choosing to assist him rather than Kaiser in his winning goal here. With that, Isagi not only tapped into the flow state once again with even hints of metavision being shown, but he also earned himself a spot on the regulars of Bastard München. While this is an amazing achievement that he totally strived for, his assist in that final moment rather than scoring the goal himself did grind some gears for him. With people like Bachira, Ness, and even Kaiser making comments about it, Isagi Yoichi will now go on into his next match against Manshine, even hungrier for his own goal. He'll be leaving this matchup in the NEL as the 5th highest bid earner, with a 17 million yen offer from Berserk Dortmund, and also a now higher 82 overall player average. Moving into our post-Barcha match events, there are really only 2 important things that occur causing possible changes within Isagi. First and foremost, Ego's speech after the game about how the NEL truly works did pump our egoist up. However, it's what he then shows on the monitor that's truly important. With the broadcast being screened from the last seconds of the PXG vs Ubers match, Isagi Yoichi is allowed to witness the Itoshi Rin's finishing super goal as it splashes into the net, winning PXG the game. This specific moment here definitely made Isagi develop even further into his striker egoism, due to the fact that he just can't stand to constantly be surpassed as one. This even leads us into the second important event that I mentioned, being the locker room argument between Isagi and Yukimiya. Now, not only does this scene confirm the fact that Isagi is feeling down about being beneath Rin as both a striker and in value, but it also manages to further his own experiences similar to what a pro would. With all of his teammates being on the wall about how to go forth, he finally realizes that everybody here is looking out for their own motives and well-being. Lessons like these consistently keep occurring throughout this arc as well, which do nothing but further Isagi's selfishness as a new and improved striker. Speaking of improvements, this does bring us to the most important match played so far, being the grand duel between Bastard München and Manshine City. Immediately as we're thrown into this match way back in 174, Isagi's mental changes from his talk with Noah can already be seen here. Being told to spend every moment, every breath making improvements to be the best, Isagi had actually been running consistent simulations in the 10 days prior to the match, accounting for things such as Kunigami's rogue nature, Kaiser's central role, and the fact that he won't be receiving passes. Isagi knows that he needs to analyze and break down all of Kaiser's movements. Fast forward to 181 on that note, and this way of thinking has paid off phenomenally for him. Following Kaiser is to grasp his style of play, Isagi notices something very specific as Kaiser is sprinting towards the defenders. Instead of keeping his eye on the ball, Kaiser is actually instead rotating his neck on a swivel as to analyze the entire field around him. Realizing that this might just be the key piece to becoming the world's best, Isagi then gets to watch in awe even further as another Kaiser impact splashes into the net. From that point on, the Isagi Yoichi that we all once knew is completely gone, as this brand new world gives him the confidence to challenge anyone, all of them. By overlapping his spatial awareness, football IQ, and perception, Michael Kaiser is able to effectively use this 4D vision to get a read on the entire field. Similar to Chigiri, when he combines this with his effective striking weapon of Kaiser Impact, well, let's just say that the results show his new Gen 11 status is warranted. Now this also does end up implementing the idea of a secondary weapon within Isagi's head, but we'll just save that for the Uber segment because this match is already plenty for him. So after understanding and implementing the idea of metavision, Isagi is ultimately able to read the future of the field, which allows him to outread Nagi and clear the ball to his team. This then leads us into what I would consider the second half of the match, as he then goes on to once again acquire another piece to his puzzle. Bastard München's Corona first becomes Isagi's true ally in this game, as he pairs up with an awakened and offensive Isagi in order to cook up the field. This ends up working perfectly, allowing Isagi to enter the penalty box, and even shoot for the net with Kaiser blocking him. Unfortunately, being hit with another assist to the dome, Kunigami had swooped in at the last second, poaching the goal straight out of Isagi's stat page. Although frustrated with his goal being snatched away, Isagi is 100% down the correct path of greatness, as even Noah points this out while watching him play. Unfortunately, however, every plus comes with a minus, with Isagi very quickly realizing the stamina toll that metavision takes on him. Unbothered and motivated to continue, Isagi is even able to go on to read plays at the exact same level as Michael Kaiser, which is an absolutely crazy feat for a guy who just awakened the ability and is currently running on pure fumes. Anyways, the next 10 to 15 chapters after this in the Manshine match do end it off, but not without Isagi finding his one final piece: egocentrism. Every single player out there has their own goals and reason to be playing, but to truly reach flow, you must feel like the protagonist. Alongside that, he concludes that when two people's egocentric goals coincide, chemical reactions are created as a result, just how Nagi and Reo work. This understanding of feeling like the protagonist and egocentrism is actually what leads Isagi to make even further of a mark on this game. Blocking the world's number 2 shot, reading Nagi's unpredictable trapping, and Reo's passes, with this combined might of metavision and egocentrism, Isagi is entranced even deeper into the flow state than ever before, as he's working his way up the field towards his final goal. Just as he's about to take the direct shot, Kaiser obviously knocks him off balance as we know, foreshadowing, which actually leads Isagi making the right choice to pass to Yukimiya. And while Yuki does go on to score the game-winning goal with Isagi bagging another assist, I do want to point out this small little detail that some people might have missed. Isagi basically puppeteered Yukimiya's egocentrism with not only his initial pass, but also the harsh words that he shouted after, basically giving Yuki a villain or rival to challenge himself against. With that, Isagi does also earn a slight amount of respect from Yukimiya, as they both apologize to one another, then becoming partial allies. Winning the games 3-2 against Manshine City, Isagi's value obviously has also went and nearly tripled, as his new Neo Egos League ranking is 4th overall, with a 50 million yen offer from Bastard München. Last but definitely not least, we're going to move on to Isagi Yoichi and Bastard München's ongoing matchup against none other than Baru and Italy's Ubers. Coming into this game with not only a challenge from Kaiser, but also a newfound determination to score goals, Isagi Yoichi was chosen to play as a right midfielder this game. With an 88 stat overall now and 3 Neo Egos League assists, Isagi's improvement just seems to be limitless in this high-intensity environment. Starting off from the game's very first chapter, we already get to see a huge change within Isagi's ability usage, as he's going 100% full throttle metavision from the very first second. This is actually due to his intensive stamina training in the 10 days prior to this game, which has now elevated him enough to the point where he won't just pass out like after last game. Anyways, with the match then continuing on as normal, Isagi Yoichi is continuously providing interception after interception for his team, as his ability to read the field has also drastically increased. This is further shown in places like 222, where Isagi and Kaiser both continue to arrive at plays at the exact same time due to their identical reads. None of this matters to him, however, if he can't score a goal, which is exactly why he actually went on and developed a secondary weapon as well. After working his way up the field at a fast-paced tempo with Corona, Isagi actually makes it right in front of the net, but not without his own teammate Ness attempting to throw off his balance here. Isagi's not stressing, however, because as he takes the shot with his non-dominant foot, sinking it past the GK, he's now confident that his goal-scoring formula will work. He's now not just dependent on his right side, so people can't read his shots as easily, making him basically semi-ambidextrous, but not really. Anyways, since this match is still ongoing, there's really only one other thing that Isagi's gained so far, and that's just overall knowledge of Mark Snuffy and the Predator Eye. Now, Mark Snuffy firstly is just an amazing player for Isagi to be up against, due to his world-class abilities overall, but specifically his prowess of controlling the field. He basically just embodies the absolute peak of what Isagi can be, just a little bit less of the goal-hungry striker aspect. Anyways, Baru is also the second person from the Ubers to serve as an example for Isagi, with his new and shiny Predator Eye. This ability is also a visual one, but instead of focusing on everyone around you like Metavision, it's specified to one-on-ones with the goalkeeper. The only reason I really mention this is due to one of my personal hopes that Isagi will actually use it for himself, potentially to score the game-winning goal. This ability would work perfectly for those times where he breaks into the penalty box, or just in general to use his direct or lefty shots. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this idea, because I've seen a lot of mixed feelings on this theory. Anyways, with that pretty much being all we have from Isagi in this ongoing Ubers match, we're now just left patiently waiting for the new chapter. If you guys are all hyped up for 229 as I am, make sure to stay tuned for my official overview on it, which will go live on Tuesday the 22nd. As always, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning into my channel. If you do enjoy these videos, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, comment on my videos, and even join the community Discord if that interests you. Thank you all so much for watching, and please, have an amazing day.